Welcome to MG Guitar Mods. In this video I'm going to wire up 3 pickups, 2 DiMarzio breed in series with coil taps on positions 2 and 4 and 1 Ibanez single coil. The wire color should work for most DiMarzio humbuckers in case you're using a different model. The switch I'm going to use in this video is a YM50 import switch. I also have a separate video for a Fender style switch if that's what you use. I'll also have a video soon for the same setup but with humbuckers and coil split. So please like and subscribe so you don't miss out. The first thing I do is prepare the wires on the humbuckers. I twist up the bare wire with the green wire, and I twist up the black and the white wire. This will give us a traditional humbucking sound. Once we're done preparing the wires for the humbuckers, then we can move forward with adding the pickups to the switch. I start with the bridge humbucker. First I add the black and white wire to lug 1 on the second half of the switch. This is going to be used for the coil tap later. Then I put the red wire on lug 1 on the first half of the switch. Then I grab the black and white wire, put it on to lug 3 of the second half of the switch from the neck pickup. And then I put the red wire on lug 3 of the first half of the switch. Next I wire up the single coil and I put it on lug 2 of the first half of the switch. Then I'm going to wire our pots up, the volume and the tone. I start out on lug 1 on the volume pot. I twisted the end of these 2 wires together just to make the soldering a little simpler. The first of the 2 yellow wires I'm going to put onto the common on the first half of the switch. The second one is going to go on to lug 2 on the tone pot. And then to make this a tone pot, I'm going to add a capacitor to lug 3 on the potentiometer, and then the other half of the capacitor I'm going to solder to the top of the potentiometer. We then want to add a ground wire between our tone pot and our volume pot. I'm just adding this ground wire to the same location that I'm soldering the second half of the capacitor to the potentiometer. Now I'm adding that second half of the wire over to the volume pot. Anywhere on the top is fine to solder it onto. Now we're going to ground the pickup wires. In this step, I've twisted up all the ground wires for the pickups. This just makes it so that I only have to solder it once instead of 3 times. Twisting up the ground wires before you solder them probably isn't something you're going to want to do if you plan on switching pickups out frequently. Otherwise, you're going to have to undo all the ground wires every time you want to swap a pickup out. And those ground wires, they just get soldered onto the top of our volume pot. Then the last steps we're going to have is our output jack and finishing up our grounds. We've got one ground that's going to go between lug 2 on the second half of our switch, and it's going to be grounded to the top of our volume pot. This is how the one coil on our humbuckers is going to be grounded out to give us our coil tap. Then we're going to add the green wire from our output jack to lug 2 on our volume pot. Green is just the color I used this time. It could be any color. A lot of times they're just black. Then I've coiled up the 3 remaining grounds and soldered them to the top of our volume pot. Those last 3 grounds are the grounds from the bridge, the ground from the single coil that grounds out onto the body of the guitar, and the output jack ground. And that's the last step we have to do. Let's hear how it sounds.